Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us. I'm delighted to introduce this work for you today. It's one of a new series of pieces that we're doing, looking particularly at Pinterest. If you haven't come across Listen and Learn Research before, we see our mission is to help firms sort of take a lot of the uncertainty out of making a bunch of decisions. And we all know that Pinterest is this really powerful place, but has anyone really looked under the hood properly and understood what's going on? I'm really delighted to be able to share some new research that we've done into the world of Pinterest. And I'm going to hand over to Sky, who's been doing a lot of the work there to talk you through our findings. Look forward to speaking to you at the end.
So good afternoon or morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us at Listen and Learn Research for our webinar on making the most of Pinterest, lessons from the do-it-yourself home decor space. I'm Sky Winslow, and my colleague Louise Allistom will be watching the chat box. So feel free to post comments throughout the discussion, and we'll do our best to address them at the end. Also, this talk is being live streamed to our LinkedIn account, and after the presentation, we will send all participants the full report, which we're happy to share with anyone that you think may find it useful. Next week, at the same time, we will share more details about our method and approach to using Pinterest to learn more about customers. In other words, we're sharing our trade secrets. First, if you're new to Pinterest, there are a few terms I'll be using throughout this talk that might be helpful to define. Pinterest is a visual discovery engine for finding ideas. It's made up of pins and boards. In general, pins are images that are created and shared on Pinterest, though you can pull pictures from outside of the platform. And boards are the way you organize or save your pins. So, for example, let's say that you were looking for inspiration for your kitchen and your living room. You could create separate boards for each room and save pins to each. And those pins of inspiration could be repins from Pinterest or images you find elsewhere online. According to Pinterest, visitors are 7 times more likely to purchase products they pin on their boards. And if those pins include a link to a website, visitors are 3 times more likely to click over to that website than any other social media platform. If you're a brand, the object is to get as many visitors as possible to pin images of your products or ideas on their boards. But none of that matters if no one is actually visiting Pinterest. Thankfully, that is not the case. Pinterest gets about 459 million visitors a month, and 90% of those folks are coming to look at home decor. So that's 413 million people who are firmly on the path to purchase, which begs the question, how can you create pins that appeal to the do-it-yourself consumers, pins that they're going to reshare and repin and share on their boards? Clearly, something this powerful needs to be better understood. Why are some pins pinned more often than others? There's loads of blogs on best practices. Even Pinterest website has best practices on creating engaging pins. And most claim that the secret is using search engine optimization friendly terms. So for example, let's say your brand sells shelving for pantries. Search optimization tools might suggest you include terms like a larder, a storeroom, or a kitchen cupboard in your pin description as well. We had a hunch going into this project that developing pins based solely on key search terms might be missing a trick, and that trend setting might be more democratic and complex than brands realize. The days of these 10 big name people meeting in a white room in a secret location in Europe to decide the trends for the coming year are over. By using deep human visual analysis, we wanted to look at Pinterest in an entirely new way. We wanted to see what was trending and who was setting those trends, which brands seemed to be winning at Pinterest and why, and how we could help brands make the most of their Pinterest investment. Several print creators are vying for attention in the do-it-your-home decor space, including brands providing inspiration and links to their products, like B&Q, Wayfair, Crate & Barrel. Interior designers making interior space functional, safe, and beautiful. Bloggers, many who utilize affiliate partnerships and earn commission by referring sales to brands. And design magazines, Most have a hard copy and an online presence, such as Architectural Digest and House Beautiful. And then there are other ones like online only, such as Domino. We consider these creators, we talk to them as the market, whereas visitors who share inspiration ideas and pins of their renovation projects and decorating projects, whether in progress or before or after, we're calling them the consumers. And we'll use those terms throughout in this presentation. So Pinterest invests heavily in tools to help the market or content creators connect with do-it-yourself consumers looking for inspiration. They brought in some really strong talent, including Jeremy Jankowski as creator lead for home and design. Over the past 2 years, they have released several new features, including the Verified Merchant Program launched in March of 2020, the Pinterest Lens, which was released in June 2020. It allows you to snap and upload a photo of anything, and it'll match it back to pins on Pinterest. Idea pins, which were introduced last May, in-shopping features, and Pinterest TV, which were released in October. And 2 weeks ago, they launched Try On for home decor. It's a tool that enables pinners to virtually place items from U.S. retailers like Crate and Barrel, Walmart, West Elm, and Wayfair in their home using the Pinterest Lens camera. So essentially, what you can do is try before you buy. We fully expected to see many of these bells and whistles being used in full form, and that was not the case. Instead, we witnessed example after example of lost opportunities to ensure relevant and inspiring content reaches those looking for it. So what did we see? Just as Amanda Sims of Architectural Digest warned, we saw specific design trends on Pinterest that seemed to bubble to the surface so aggressively that you can't see anything else. Our visual analysis revealed what I like to call the Pinterest house, or the house that Pinterest built. This house has a dominant aesthetic and includes fairy lights, round mirrors, lots of round mirrors, green velvet somewhere, pink or green walls, a ladder with blankets, and an abstract painting. If it feels like I've just described your living room, don't worry, you're not alone. It seems to be a universal trend created and shared profusely on Pinterest. So in December, Pinterest released its Pinterest Predicts report of trends to watch for 2022. Now, these predictions were based solely on emerging search trends, nothing else. And in the home decor space, they predicted an interest in library rooms, tiny ones, massage rooms, luxury cat and dog rooms, biophilic interiors incorporating nature, which are thought to reduce stress, enhance creativity and clarity of thought, floral ceilings. We're not talking about floral painted ceilings, but ceilings with real flowers, either fresh or dried, hanging down, and luxurious laundry rooms, and finally, curved sofas and curved kitchen islands. Our visual analysis, granted, it's 2 months into 2022, but we did see some of these trends. We saw clues of them. We saw bookshelves. We saw large trees and loft apartments, interest in laundry rooms. We didn't see anything luxurious about the laundry rooms, though. For the most part, these trends really are not showing up yet. But we think that there's more to the story than the emerging search terms alone reveal. We have a few predictions that we think are new opportunities to engage with the consumer. These trends were visually apparent, not necessarily search term evident. In other words, they were based on what consumers are pinning. Pots and pans are back in the open, swinging on a rack instead of stored away in a cupboard. After years of knocking down walls to create an open floor plan, we realized we might have overdone it. Wall dividers are an easy solution. Our green thumbs are in fact not so green. It's time to toss all those shriveled and wilting plants we purchased during the pandemic and replace them with dried grasses. Bookshelves are in vogue. Perhaps we need a place to display the many books that we read during the pandemic. We sure read a lot in my house, as a badge of honor. Natural materials such as leather, wood, brick, and stone are trending. In some cases, the focus is on faux but natural-looking alternatives. The rattan and wicker trend of 2021 shows no signs of going away anytime soon. And creams and browns are everywhere. These are the trends do-it-yourself consumers are pinning, but it isn't necessarily what the market is creating. Our analysis revealed several disconnects between the content companies create and what do-it-yourself home decor consumers are pinning. Companies are not only overlooking many of the trends identified, but they're also misreading what inspires do-it-yourself consumers. We know with certainty that key search terms or emerging search terms would not have revealed the disconnects we found through visual immersion. So here's a few of them. The heart of the home turns out it's not the kitchen. Do-it-yourselfers want inspiration for their living rooms, followed by the bedroom and their kitchen. Unless you're a cooking enthusiast and you post lots of recipes, inspiration for your kitchen is really all you care about. Do-it-yourselfers are also looking for inspiration for their mudroom, their storage areas, and their laundry rooms. On the other hand, the market is completely focused on home offices, powder rooms or half baths, nurseries, and kid rooms. And do-it-yourselfers rarely pin this content. The market has gotten a few things right. They are absolutely meeting the demand for living room, family room inspiration. And the bloggers and interior designers have definitely noticed the need for the mudroom and laundry room inspiration. But brands and design magazines are completely missing this opportunity. When do-it-yourselfers post inspiration for kitchens and bedrooms and bathrooms, we started to notice a few kind of room-specific trends. Consumers are entirely on board with the dark-hued cabinetry in kitchens. This was a trend in 2021, and it has now been fully embraced. So the all-white kitchen is going away to a moodier aesthetic. Consumers fall into two camps when it comes to the bedroom. They either want a dramatic headboard or they want an understated monastic style, which is essentially no headboard. On the market side, bathrooms are bursting with exposed shower pipes. And the focal point in the bedroom is canopy beds, dressed or undressed. In the case of the exposed shower pipes, not a single do-it-yourselfer consumer that we looked at repinned this idea, though they do like copper accents in other areas, so perhaps it's something that will eventually catch on. The market is also offering powder room sinks made of unusual items like petrified wood and this urn shown in the photo. And do-it-yourselfers are not inspired by these ideas either. When it comes to materials, fabrics, and forms, the focus is on nature, not luxury. Do-it-yourselfers want natural elements like plants, reclaimed wood, dried grasses, all of which of these definitely tie in with the biophilic interior trend that Pinterest is predicting. But then we also have things like wrought iron and warm metallic copper, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. They're also trending. In terms of fabric, do-it-yourselfers want natural linens and cotton fabrics. They're really in the limelight, followed by velvet, leather, and faux leather, which are close behind. And we also noticed that Granny's quilts are coming out of the closet and replacing throws on beds. Do-it-yourselfers also have a penchant for oversized design. They love big mirrors, large clocks, statement lighting, and they are starting to pin organic shaped accent pieces in furniture. When you look at the market, they're focused on luxury. Marble for the kitchen, marble for the bathroom. Pins focused on material are focused on chintz fabric featuring flowers and patterns. Boucle, which is a heavy fabric made of looped yarn, has a nubby texture like the chair be shown. And faux, at least I hope they're faux given the number we saw, of sheepskin rugs. Interior designers and bloggers are creating pins focused on curved forms. They've got it. We saw lots of curved sofas and chairs. We even saw a just beautiful melted organic shaped disco ball that seems to defy gravity as it hangs off the edge of a coffee table. And I'll be honest, if that thing didn't cost $799, I'd have one on the way today. It's just beautiful. Interestingly, the big brands like Pottery Barn and Crate and Barrel are not really following an organic curved form in their furniture design. They seem to be in a let's wait and see mode. So here is an interesting situation where the do-it-yourselfers are more trendsetters than the big brands. When we look at ceilings, walls, and floors, the do-it-yourselfers want natural stone, brick, and large pendant lights that offer subtle luminosity, not bright lights. Many pins for accent ceilings are what designers are calling the fifth wall. For example, wood paneling and reclaimed wood beams. Do-it-yourselfers are also inspired by large, expansive windows that offer natural light, again tying in with that biophilic trend. We saw lots of curated gallery walls displaying artwork, photos, and prints, which I know from firsthand experience look simple to do, and I promise you they are not. Do-it-yourselfers are also very open to bold patterned bathroom tiles. They do not want bold green palm leaf wallpaper that the market is touting for powder rooms. The market is also offering patterned and delicate floral window treatments. Do-it-yourselfers are not interested. On the subject of walls, the bookshelf trend that we mentioned earlier is definitely a trend among the do-it-yourselfers, and interior designers have picked up on this trend. But it feels like they've miscalculated just how much of a trend it really is. It's not what I would call, for lack of a better word, a screaming trend. It's just kind of there. And I wonder if the do-it-yourselfer starts seeing it everywhere, will it lose some of its shine and uniqueness or its freshness? It kind of just points out to how difficult it is, the real balancing act in this whole pin creation content. So we took all the pins we saw, and we saw a lot of pins, and we placed them against 96 trending color palettes. And these are just the top color palettes that rose to the top. There were a lot of others that we can share. We found that do-it-yourselfers are a bit bolder in their color choices than what the market offers. So the Pinterest aesthetics of pink and greens that we talked about earlier are definitely apparent, both in what the do-it-yourselfers are pinning and what the market is creating. So these colors came through, and again, in the emerald green velvet sofas and plum cabinetry in the kitchen. But for the do-it-yourselfers, we also saw really earthy hues, including reds and oranges, even in the bedroom. Interior designers, brands, bloggers, and magazines, honestly, it was just a bit of sea of sameness. They are much more conservative in their selections, emphasizing kind of layers of shades of the same color. And interior designers seem to be fixated on ochre, which is like a mustard yellow color. It's their go-to pop of color for accent pieces. Some bloggers we noticed are drawn almost to a kind of a colorless aesthetic, a monochromic look. It's got the white sofa, the white throws, white kitchen, and the do-it-yourselfers are much more realistic. They are not pinning this. So as part of our visual immersion exercise, we noted the composition of rooms captured in pins, and what we discovered was that do-it-yourselfers want pins populated with people and pets. The unmade bed with the pillows falling to the floor, the dog curled up next to the fireplace or at the foot of the bed, the family gathered around the dinner table making memories, rooms that are in progress where everything hasn't quite found its place. What the market is offering is sterile, soulless interiors, beds with 3 layers of pillows, what my husband calls pillows not for pillowing, maybe a bowl of oranges on the kitchen island, perfect houseplants that do not look like anything like we actually own in our house, and interiors with views of sunny, ideal weather. We also looked at the techniques markets use in their do-it-yourself pins. It became clear very quickly that some pins are more engaging than others. After viewing a how-to pin, consumers want to feel confident that they can go on their way and accomplish their task. Idea pins are great for this. When consumers click a pin, they expect to be rewarded with helpful content, or at least some content, instead of being forced to link to a website to learn more. Most of the commercial boards pinning content on Pinterest require a visitor to click the link to their website or blog or their YouTube channel to learn more. And this is such a tedious process. Pinterest has a tool for this approach. It's called the promoted pin. When you click a promoted pin, you learn very quickly as a visitor that it's going to take you directly to the website of whatever is being promoted. But traditional pins shouldn't work this way. It has a real bait and switch feel to it that the people that were on this project, we found it very off-putting. To give you even more of an idea, we looked at several brands that had similar number of followers or were similar types of brands. One would be using engaging pins, and the other one would just be, have photos with links to their websites. And consistently, we found that those who used engaging pins, such as the idea pins and videos, their monthly views shot through the roof. In one case, they had the exact same number of followers. The one that used engaging pins actually provided content on the site. They had 3 times the number of monthly views. We saw this situation over and over again. And without exception, when we would go back in and look at the boards to understand why, it was because of the quality and the content of their pins. So in the report we've created to coincide with this webinar, there are many more details, including different personas that we found in the do-it-yourself home decor space. And these personas have different motivations for visiting Pinterest, and each represents unique targeting opportunities for companies. But to summarize what we've covered today, we witnessed a disconnect between what the market creates on Pinterest and what do-it-yourself consumers want. This disconnect leads to missed opportunities, lost sales, and potential irrelevance. Visual immersion offers a better understanding of the do-it-yourself mindset than relying solely on search data. What I found really fascinating is that big box retailers and interior designers no longer rule by decree. Many do-it-yourselfers have no desire to run with the pack, choosing to chart their own path. The assumption that the do-it-yourself home decor consumer molds their vision based on what the industry preaches is no longer holding entirely true. There's an opportunity to adopt a bottom-up strategy targeting increasingly independent and connected consumers. But the good news is consumers are willing to show you their cards, or in this case, their pins. So there's no guessing about what's involved here. You just need to take time to look. I'd like to add, we didn't grasp this disconnect until we crunched the data. It was not enough to spend hours or even days at looking at do-it-yourself consumer boards. It takes an approach where you can quantitatively assess what you're seeing. The key to successfully targeting consumers, or in this case, do-it-yourselfers on Pinterest, is to employ best practices. And we believe those practices entail visual immersion. We see lots of opportunities for the market. Visual immersion allows you to create the right content and shift your targeting to match consumers' interests. We know creating valuable content on Pinterest instead of focusing on people just getting to your site is a much better way to engage with consumers. If you create value, if you create real content, they will come. But if you try and force them to learn about your brand by going to your website every time they click a pin, they're not going to do it. Using features like idea pins and video is a way to create richer, more engaging content. We also found that there's no reason to be perfect. Sterile images of perfect homes, no thank you. Consumers prefer a more lived-in, natural approach. And also, don't rely on only what search data is telling you. It is misleading. Visual analysis is a much better way to keep your finger on the pulse of what consumers are trying to achieve and the inspiration they need. And we're here to help you if you're interested. Thank you for your time today. As a reminder, we'll send you the full report when we sign off. And next week at the same time, we're going to reveal the approach we took to get to these conclusions. We really think that we're onto something here, and that deep human visual analysis is a way to look at Pinterest in an entirely new way to ensure companies are making the most of their Pinterest investment. If you represent the market, I'd invite you to go back to your Pinterest site after this meeting and evaluate it against what we presented today. We think it will be eye-opening.
Sky, thank you so much. That was fascinating. While a few minutes while we see if there's any questions that come in, something that's sprung to my mind is what brands do you think are really killing it from what you've seen doing this research?
Made.com.
Okay, that was pretty straight off the bat, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it about what they're doing that really excites you?
They use ideal pins. They use video. They're using all the bells and whistles, and it's showing. You almost have to force yourself to leave their site.
And as a user, what's drawing you in to that? Do you think?
It's just well, first of all, I learned immediately that the rug side I have in my living room is too small. I mean, it's just really useful content. So yeah.
And are they blogging about techniques or about style differences, or is it a wide range of things?
A wide range of things, absolutely.
Okay. So is someone going, how did your opinions of Pinterest change from the beginning to the end of this project? Because I know it's part of the challenge that I set you guys was to come up with a method for doing something sensible to actually get some insight from Pinterest. So what was the journey that you went on?
Well, I'm actually in the process myself of trying to find a bed for our master bedroom. And so it really was helpful for me to I actually started to consider alternatives that I hadn't really thought about. I had this very traditional idea of what my bed should look like, and I can see the clean lines of the monastic style. It kind of fits in with that whole biophilic idea, kind of pared down. So I definitely think it's going to impact the bed that I ultimately purchased for my master bedroom. Also, I'm pretty traditional in the way I decorate, but after seeing so many of these organic shapes and the curved sofas and like I said, that molten disco ball, I'm definitely more open to the idea of including more organic shapes in my design. And I'm definitely not going to paint anything else green.
I love the just the idea that it's so formative. So we often get influenced by the things that we're watching, but when you're on this journey through Pinterest and you start somewhere and it leads you down, it's just this process of you're immersing yourself in just the raw inspiration from lots of other sort of different people, and that process then shapes your view so powerfully. And I think that must be part of the reason behind the strong conversion rates that we're seeing through Pinterest. Did you have any thoughts on that?
No, 100%. Like I said, I am in the market right now for a bed, and I know that the bed that I actually select will be based on the pins I've seen in Pinterest. So and there's no other place you can go. I mean, years ago, it used to be that you had if you had magazines like House Beautiful, you had them dog-eared or pages ripped out, and maybe you put them in a binder of things you wanted. But if you want inspiration for your home, the very first place you're going to go is Pinterest, and anything else you do is going to be really clunky. So it is truly the place that you go to if you're building a new home, if you're renovating anything, it's just a perfect place.
Yeah, I like that idea of it, of what you just said about it being clunky, as if actually it's streamlining so many other sources and making that such a richer experience for you because it's so visual. And I'm loving some of the video content that I saw when I was checking into the learnings. Yeah, really good. Any sort of final thoughts on you before we sign off?
No, I think that's good.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again so much for just a really fascinating conversation. I've read the report. It's fascinating. Really happy to share it with everyone else. And as I said, we were talking before the session, I don't know anyone else who's doing this kind of research into Pinterest. So I'm delighted that the team's been able to really push our method into this space. I've been amazed by the results that have come out of it. And yeah, can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you so much again. Look forward to seeing you in the next session.